Well, thanks for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Fox 10 Talks. Marc Martinez, Ellen McNamara, Erica Horvatin. We got you covered. A rainy Tuesday here in the Valley of the Sun and across parts of the state.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, it kind of started last night too. We had a lot of rain showers as we were driving home last night. You know, kind of, a little white knuckling.
Yes, it
Sometimes
was.
we always forget. We always, even though we just went through monsoon season, we always kind of have to kind of reset and be like, okay, we can't drive 85 miles an hour like everyone does, or I do anyway.
I've seen you when we're on our way home.
Time.
But it does. It takes a moment, and then it continued kind of overnight. And then today it's just it's been kind of all over the place.
I know.
Honestly.
I was also thinking about how, when you have a rainy day here, it makes you just want to lay around and do nothing.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So much more than if you were in a place where you get rain all the time, because obviously you can't always do that.
Right.
But here, just so much more. You just want to relax
I know.
during a rainy day.
Because we all come to work late in the afternoon, and so I'm sure we're all getting ready to run the same time, and it's like you're at home and it's so gray and rainy. You're just like, I just want to sit home and watch movies today.
I know. I skipped the
enjoy it.
workout today. I was going to go, and then I was like,
And doesn't this
So
too make you think, how do you live in Seattle? I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
No.
I definitely could not.
Some video of the road
Yeah.
conditions out there earlier today, and Skyfox flying around, just really gray out there. Tough morning commute, and I just heard a little bit ago in the newsroom a bunch of rain coming down too here in downtown Phoenix. So let's talk to Erica. You're the meteorologist here. We could chit chat about the rain, but you've got all the details about what's in store.
Yeah, so we have a big storm that's coming in from the West Coast. It's been spinning its way down to Southern California since yesterday. And this storm is much more intact than the last one. It's going to actually cross as a closed low over Arizona. And what that means is that it is staying a lot stronger than the last storm, and the track is much more favorable for rain for us here in Arizona. So you can see that storm right there. The low has been following, that last storm system. You can see all of that counterclockwise spin around the low. So we are currently up ahead of the low, where all this rain is coming in as we tap into that Pacific and Gulf of California moisture. So we usually have the most instability ahead of a low pressure system, and that's why we've also been seeing some of that severe weather today. So we had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings earlier on. Those expired, and they ended up they really packed a punch up to around 60 mile per hour wind gusts in parts of Glendale. There were 1-inch tree limbs down in North Phoenix, closer to Deer Valley. And obviously, there's also been a lot of flooding reports. So those severe thunderstorm warnings are no more. They have all kind of pushed northward. You're seeing all that rain up north near Cave Creek, and then moving toward Black Canyon City, and then up along kind of that I-17 corridor. So what we're left with now are just a couple of showers on the outskirts. We have a storm over Fountain Hills. We have a storm way out kind of around Buckeye. And there are a couple storms making their way north of the 303 and then up around Cave Creek. But for most of the valley, we are looking pretty dry at this time. There still is a flood advisory that's in effect for the west side of town, but I believe that's going to be expiring, within the next hour and 45 minutes. So that storm brought about an inch of rainfall. That was from the severe storm, actually, as that moved through that area. And the most recent storm that passed through, looks like we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. But that storm actually crossed through Scottsdale. And so you guys saw a ton of heavy rain in Scottsdale and kind of Tempe, West Mesa. And now it's making its way up to Fountain Hills. So let's see what's on this severe thunderstorm warning while we're at it. So 3:45, so this will go for another 40 minutes or so. This storm is packing 60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-size hail.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Pretty impactful. And so, it's right over Fountain Hills, but it's really starting to move north of Fountain Hills as well. Some of that heaviest rain extending up to around Rio Verde.
And then we've got chances too for the rest of the week, correct?
We do. So this storm, as it moves eastward across the state, it's going to bring more rain to eastern Arizona, because there it's been pretty dry today. Let me zoom out, and you can see that all the rain has really been in the western half of Arizona. We're starting to see a couple of showers on the east side of the state, but as the storm moves eastward, it'll start to bring more rain to eastern Arizona. So you can expect more of that. Tonight through tomorrow, we'll be seeing rain across all of Arizona for our Wednesday, and then Thursday it'll start to dry out from west to east. So
as far as the high country goes, I mean, we're also talking snow too.
Yes.
I know you like, to get outdoors and enjoy skiing and everything that, comes with it. But
I know.
I mean, the high country is getting snow, and it's right at the right time because Snow Bowl is going to be opening very soon.
I know, yeah. They got a few inches of snow over the weekend, so not a lot. They make a lot of snow though, and temperatures are cold enough for them to make that snow all through the night and probably even during the day at this point, because this storm's going to bring in some really cold air over the next couple of days. Snow levels are going to drop, even some spots along the rim, like Flagstaff down to kind of like Heber, where else? Pine Top, Lakeside. I would say spots like that are a little higher, they could end up seeing some snow Wednesday night to Thursday.
I saw some video earlier of friends in Vegas. It was pouring, and then I saw on your radar right now when you brought that up, it's really coming down there too. So
I know.
Is that in that same system, I guess?
Same storm. Yeah, this is a big one. And believe it or not, another storm is going to follow this one. So we're just on the storm track right now.
Wow.
The third storm of the line is going to get here on Friday through the weekend. So we could start to see more rain Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But the track of that storm could bring that rain a little bit further south. So it could mean drier for northern Arizona and then wetter for the valley and southern Arizona through the weekend.
When you're talking about Las Vegas, they have the F1
Yeah,
race
I wonder if we
this
could take that
weekend.
radar again. Can we take a look at that radar and see?
That will be really interesting
that is
because,
coming.
I mean, that is a huge, huge
that.
economic booster for Las Vegas. I know some people don't really like it.
But you can see the strip right there off the I-15, just north of, just south where it says Las Vegas there. That is
that
really...
where?
Yeah. And they certainly deal with flooding too, kind of like we do. You know, when they don't get a lot of rain and we don't get a lot of rain, they have serious flooding issues.
You'll see the parking garages there just inundated with water. It's I used to live there. I was there for about 6 years, and it was always, I mean, it did not have the big, it's better now than it was as far as the drainage systems, but it was guaranteed you were going to flood. So if you got plans to go to Vegas, be aware. It's at least right now.
Yeah,
it's going to be a wet one.
I know, and they plan for that race like months and months and months in advance. They've been building the, all the bleachers, and they're not really bleachers. I mean, they're like, you got to spend a lot of money to sit in these places.
Yeah.
But I mean, they spend a lot of time to get ready for that race, so that will be something to watch as well too.
That's how it always works.
And we know you're super busy today, so we got you for a few minutes. I just want to ask you, for someone who's a meteorologist, when you wake up in the morning.
Okay.
And you look out and it's raining or it's doing what you thought it was going to do. What's your day like? Do you feel like I want to get into work right away, or do you start looking at your computers early, or what do you do?
I thought you were going to say, do you get super excited that you got it right?
Well, that too.
Which I do.
I mean, because look, we can't predict the news, but do you get excited about what's going to happen?
That would be awesome if you
could.
I
mean, come on,
we
I'd
would
buy the lottery tickets,
right? I would say. I just get really excited about the weather all around. And
you get it right, you're like, yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm like, I sometimes have a hard time sleeping because I'm like waiting to hear rain on my roof. I'm like, am I going to hear it? Mm-hmm. And then if I hear it, I can finally sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
You got to take it seriously because so many people do rely on the forecast.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I really don't like getting the forecast wrong. I really hate it.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard, and it's hard too during
like
monsoon season because sometimes the dust storms just come out of nowhere, right?
I know. Yeah. On a day like today, it's like really hard to predict exactly where each thunderstorm is going to hit because, as you guys saw, it's such a large scale system. Yeah. So we have tons of moisture in play all across the state. And at that point, you're getting into, okay, where did a storm from this morning leave behind this invisible boundary line that's going to cause storms to pop up along it later in the day, or things like that? Or where did we get that little burst of bit of sunshine today where it's going to heat the ground up just enough to get enough energy there, but not over there, So a lot of that stuff can be fairly unpredictable, which is why on a day like today, I said, bring your umbrella, and grab your rain jacket because it's going to be on and off raining.
Yeah.
It's going to be hit or miss pretty much all day long.
Yeah, and that's at my house when I was getting ready. I got home about 12:30 from running errands, and the rain had stopped. It was sunny, and then within 20 minutes, it was still sunny, but it was starting to pour.
Yep.
It was really. I mean, I like it like that, but I just feel when you're doing this job, I'm like, oh, that's so much pressure. I don't think I'd be able to handle it.
I know. I was also enjoying the kind of sun coming out earlier at around the same time.
Yeah.
And then I was getting ready for work and I got in the car and I finally had a better view of the sky. And I was like, wow, that's very, very dark in the western sky.
Yeah.
And the wind picked up. So I looked at my radar. Of course, a severe thunderstorm was popping up. And then I'm freaking out. I'm like, gotta get back. Gotta get to work right now. Crystal was here. So she had it covered with the streaming and stuff at that time. But still, I'm like, all right, you got to make sure everybody's prepared. You want to always be on top of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you took the job here,
pressure.
Coming from New Mexico, some people might have been like, why are you going to go to do the weather in Phoenix? Nothing ever happens there. And you get hear of this crazy monsoons and all this rain we had over the summer. And I mean, it's been busy.
Yeah, it really has been. And I mean, much more so than last year.
Yeah.
Because last year, this time, it was bone dry.
Yes.
And we saw no rain for a record amount of days throughout the fall last year. So that's almost what I was expecting for every year.
Yeah.
And this year has proved it wrong for sure.
No, it's good. We always need it. I mean, we certainly need it. For folks who are watching right now, our Fox 10 weather app, it's a great place, to go for information. You can also look at radar there as well, too, kind of like what you're seeing as well. So it's free. Just a reminder to download that free weather app because it's a great resource.
It is. I prefer that app over any of the other apps personally because I just think it does a great job. You just get better temperature readings. You get better forecast temperatures. You get better radar.
Yeah.
I mean, those of you guys using Apple Weather, shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
That's good advice. That is good advice.
And the radar was really helpful. I used that last weekend, when we thought it was going to be I was thinking, when is this storm coming in on Sunday? I'm like, well, I think I'm safe to do whatever I need to do outside today.
Right.
It was helpful.
I know.
So
be prepared.
Yes.
A couple more days of this.
Yeah. We like it.
But tomorrow.
Next week looks great, though.
Next week looks a lot better. As for tomorrow, I don't think we'll be seeing as much of that severe weather as we saw today. There's just not going to be as much instability and. So.
Okay.
All right. Erica, thanks for joining us. I know you're so busy today. Thanks for taking time to sit here with us.
All right, guys. Gotta go.
Yes. It's a busy time.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, on this Tuesday. Of course, Fox 10 Talks. I'm Ellen McNamara Marc Martinez. And now we have a special guest,
Yes,
Andy
we do.
Mack, who you probably see on LiveNOW.
Yeah.
And I know you have
I see you on TV. You guys see me on TV. That's how we
We're
go.
in the same building, but we hardly see each other
right?
in person.
I know. But you do have such an interesting job because you, like with LiveNOW, you guys are always monitoring all the live feeds from all across the country, and you can like just push a button and pop it up and show it.
Yeah, and
then
it's the brand is kind of what it is. It's obviously very obvious. So we just kind of take you live to anything that's happening, breaking news around the country, any feeds. Sometimes it happens here in Phoenix. Sometimes it's on the East Coast. So a little bit of everything. Obviously, a big day in Capitol Hill, but I know we're going to get into it. So a lot of everything happening.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. Let's get to the latest with the Epstein files and the discharge petition.
Correct.
What's the latest with this now for some people who've not been following all of this? It's been so kind of hard to follow, actually.
Correct. Yeah, and last week we didn't know if it was going to get through. Representative Adelita Grijalva sworn in. She was the 218th signature, and that was the cusp to get it passed. And then today, a week later, obviously 427 members of Congress voted for this discharge. So it is now out there. It's moving on to the Senate. We'll see what happens tonight because there is some conversation about that happening around this Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, this has been a conversation. Trump has somewhat flip-flopped on his stance. He said he didn't want it out there. Now he does. There were conversations this morning about exactly what the Senate might bring up because there could be amendments added about what is redacted, what is kind of sensitive material in all of these Epstein files from the DOJ. But this is a big day. It's an overwhelming pass. The lone representative, Representative Clay Higgins from Louisiana, said no, just based on principle, based on basically protocol for it. So it was almost unanimous to pass through the House, and we'll see if it gets to the Senate, what happens there. And then Trump said he would sign it if it gets to his desk. So we're a long ways from that, but obviously a big step today for it getting through the House.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to follow because, I mean, I think kind of, way back when, the Republican Party was kind of putting it out there and saying, and Trump campaigned on it, saying we would release these files, and then, kind of backtracked and fought it. And Mike Johnson was like, absolutely not. This is not going to be happening. And then Sunday night on Truth Social, Trump just tweeted, I guess he wrote on Truth Social, I should say, that he would support. He wrote truth, I guess. I don't know, that he would support the release of the files. But I think a lot of people, as you said, I mean, even like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was talking today, there are concerns that a lot of information could be redacted. And that is handled by the DOJ. Is that correct? Yeah,
it is handled by them. And obviously the Senate will have something to do with it, exactly because there are national security matters potentially, and what that definition is a little bit up for debate as well. So we'll see what happens there. But like you mentioned, it's been interesting, and it's hard to keep up even for someone that is in it day in and day out. From what Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has said, from what the FBI Director Kash Patel, because like you mentioned, they somewhat campaigned on this. But this is a big step forward, and we saw last week that the Democrats in the House Oversight Committee put forward several documents that had Trump's name involved in there. You don't know the context of what's going on with all of these. So even if they do release it and the level in which they do redact it, it's still going to be hard to kind of dive into like what actually happened, what is actually implicated, because obviously Trump has not been implicated. His name is in there, but what is kind of the involvement is still up in the air.
And I believe we have some sound from earlier today from Marjorie Taylor Greene this morning. Let's take a listen to that.
And then get upset when your own party goes against you because what is being done is wrong. It's not right. For your own self-serving purposes, this is America. This is land of the free. Land of the free. In 1863, we have a woman on top of the Capitol building represent freedom. I do not feel free today. I don't know if the women behind me feel free today.
For too long, survivors have watched others speak for us. And while we are grateful for our allies in Congress on both sides, we've realized something. This fight belongs to us. We lived it, and we know the truth.
I would just like to give a little reminder that this was me at 14 years old. I was a child. I was in 9th grade. I was hopeful for life and what the future had held for me. He stole a lot from me at 14. So just a little reminder there for everybody. Sorry.
And we keep getting asked this.
What does justice mean, you ask? It starts with acknowledgement. That's the first step. Acknowledge in the face of survivors that this happened and that this is true. Your vote carries that weight. My sister is not a political tool for you to use. These survivors are not political tools for you to use. These are real stories, real trauma, and it's time for you to stop just talking about it and act.
Yeah, that was some pretty powerful sound that we just heard. So what happened today was that there was a news conference, and all of those survivors of Jeffrey Epstein spoke. The brother of one of them, who has since died. Actually, there were two that kind of stuck out to me: Lisa Phillips, Annie Farmer. So those women. Annie Farmer was actually one of the very first women, like way back when she and her sister were abused by Jeffrey Epstein, and they tried to tell people, they tried to get the word out. They did an interview with like Vanity Fair. It never even went anywhere. So Annie Farmer, she spoke. She was there. Lisa Phillips, another woman who recently has come out and talked about it. And I think honestly that is kind of what the last couple weeks. There's been so much discussion about powerful men, and a lot of these women, their stories. That's what they're saying. They're like, just. These are our stories. This happened to us. Let us, let that be known. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of women, sometimes that kind of gets lost in all the discussion anyway. So it was very important for them to hold that news conference today. Yeah,
and it was. And it was good to hear from the victims, hear from the survivors, because that is the point of this whole thing, is to hear it. Because we had a press conference yesterday on LiveNOW that we played in its entirety from L.A. with a woman named Alicia Arden. She came forward in the early 1990s about Jeffrey Epstein and saying that she was sexually assaulted in that way. So you mentioned and you heard from one of the brothers of one of the survivors saying that they're political tools in this. And it unfortunate in that way. We saw on the House floor today a censure of a member of Congress, and it's almost like we lost the point. That's not the focus of all of this. So whether the House does it, and there was also a bite from her yesterday saying that they didn't ask if it was a Republican or a Democrat that potentially was the perpetrator or someone that assaulted them. That didn't matter to them, obviously. So it's obviously they're at the forefront of this, and sometimes they get overlooked based on the fact that we're talking about the House and all these people.
I was going to say, so much of this now has become process, and the Senate and the House and the rules and discharge petitions and censures, and you're right. It does sometimes you lose the fact that these are real people who were impacted by this, and then when you hear the stories and you see she holds up a picture of herself, it kind of really gives you that perspective.
And these were very young girls. Obviously, we're talking about it in your teens, and you can only imagine thinking back to when you were in your teens and when, like this woman yesterday, Alicia Arden, she was growing in her career as a model, and it's these powerful individuals in this way potentially taking advantage of them. And she said she drove across the street to the Santa Monica Police Department, and they almost didn't want to take her report. So this imprint is so on her, even dating back to the 90s, that it's important to showcase those stories as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we have some sound also from Yasmin Ansari that she was speaking earlier today. I'm not sure if she was speaking in the House. Is that where she was?
Yeah. So Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari was on the floor, and this, I believe, was right before the vote happened. Yes. And so we have that soundbite to play for you.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the walls are closing in on Donald Trump and his rich and powerful friends who either abused or raped children or were enabling and complicit in these heinous crimes for decades. This vote today matters, but here is the truth. Donald Trump could direct the Department of Justice to release the files today. He is choosing not to. They are already under subpoena, led by oversight Democrats, and have refused. This is an ongoing cover-up by the Trump White House, and Mike Johnson and the House has been complicit. What is Trump hiding? Why not release the files today? This is a
time has expired.
Release the files today. Thank you.
Yeah. She was, didn't hold anything back. And then the vote happened shortly after. Did you hear anybody? And because you were paying attention to all of it. What did some of the Republicans say, who maybe had fought the release of this,
Correct.
but then voted for the release of them today.
Yeah, it was interesting because we didn't hear a ton from them. We heard a ton from the group that was really on board initially, that was a part of the Republican contingent that came across the aisle. We heard from Marjorie Taylor Greene. We heard from Anna Paulina Luna, the Republican from Florida. We heard from the Republican from South Carolina, Nancy Mace, talking about this transparency. And I think maybe a lot of people, when we talk about the politics of it, that now we're talking about the one individual that didn't vote for it.
Sure.
So
Right.
it's once it snowballed,
Yeah.
it wasn't like anyone else. Once we're past the 218, it was maybe hiding your name, not being the one to vote no for this. So we didn't hear a ton from other people. Obviously, there were speaks, and it was almost obvious that they knew it was going to pass in such a way because they made those speeches so profoundly before any of the vote happened. And then it came down and basically everyone said yeah. And we saw when there was like a no on the board, we're like, I wonder who that could be. And then it would disappear and they would kind of switch their votes.
And for some, even Republicans, they were not going to waver on this. Lauren Boebert had a lot of pressure on her, apparently, meeting with the president. Pam Bondi, Avati Kash Patel was there to try to sway her to vote no, and she held her ground. Now that's, you're in the room with three people who are very powerful people. And she stood her ground on that.
Yeah, and that's obviously, you mentioned Lauren Boebert, that's the only other Republican. Obviously, Thomas Massie brought it forward. But yeah, it was interesting that just the amount of kind of influence that President Trump has on the Republican Party, obviously is the leader of that party. But yeah, she was called into the Situation Room, apparently, reportedly. They didn't talk about it in the press room. That was kind of Caroline Leavitt's quote. But obviously, they stood their ground. And now it's forward and it's moving in a direction, and we'll see what other kind of twists and turns the saga has, because it's obviously far from over.
And you made a point too about what it's going to look like when these files are released. How much redaction is going to be in these? Are all the names going to be, or only certain names going to be in there?
And there's 60,000 emails with very little context. We saw emails from like 2011 and then another email from like 28. There was the difference in timeline, and you don't know exactly. Nicknames are involved and different sorts of things.
Wow.
So it's going to be hard, and obviously we're going to have to finally fill it out. It's not going to be like an initial gotcha at all in any of these.
Digging through those.
Yeah, digging through those is going to take some
a
time.
long time.
They might need AI to scan all the documents. I'm sure that's probably going to happen.
That's another thing they got to bring up on Capitol.
Yeah, absolutely. Get through those a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Well, Andy, thank you so much for coming down and giving us all this information. And I know that we'll be talking about this with you probably in the future. Yes,
we appreciate it.
We're
not just watching each other on TV.
I know, right?
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's a busy Tuesday. We appreciate it. Have a